Thank you very much for coming, everybody. This is the Filmmaking in West Virginia panel discussion. I'm Jim Wolfe. I coordinate arts education programs here at the state office. We're really happy to see you all today and really honored to have this amazing panel gathered today. We have Dave Lavender from the West Virginia Film Office, Justin Litton from Mtn Craft, Jonathan Lacocque and Clara Lehmann from Coat of Arms, and Tijah Bumgarner from Marshall University and the world. And so what we're gonna do here is each of the presenters is gonna come up here and just tell you a little bit about their work, maybe show some highlights. So we're gonna hear from everybody individually and just kind of get an overview. I'll just say this real quickly. It's been, from my perspective as an outside, sort of semi-outside observer, it's just been an amazing year in film and video and production and in all these different ways across West Virginia. And at some point, as I gradually became aware of all these amazing projects that were going on, I just thought, well, let's get some of these people together and talk about what this work is and why is it all happening. Is it a coincidence? What's going on that's making some really interesting and very high quality work take place in West Virginia, kind of all at the same time? And where does it go from here? So that's kind of was my vision for bringing this amazing group together, and that's what we'll talk about a little bit today. So we're going to do these presentations, and then we're going to try to leave an ample amount of time at the end for just an open conversation, questions and answers. So let me bring Dave Lavender to the podium from the West Virginia Film Office.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you to the Division of Culture and History for having us at the Arts in Our Communities Conference. It's always amazing to be in the room with the crazy quilt of creatives who do truly make West Virginia, Appalachia a great place to be. So just real quick, I'm Dave Lavender. I'm not as calm, I don't smell as well, off-brand, I guess, but I've been a lifelong lover of the arts and of film, and was very grateful that I work over in the West Virginia Department of Economic Development, so we're just right there in Building 3. You can throw a rock at it, but please don't. Sometimes the legislature does that for us. But anyway, we are concerned with creating economic development in West Virginia. As you know, in recent history, very concerned about diversifying the economy. And we think that West Virginia, one of our strong suits is that we're just have amazing storytellers and amazing musicians and amazing dancers. And we think that also includes our filmmakers. And so in July 1, 2022, the legislature passed a film tax credit that goes up to 31% if you hire 10 or more West Virginians, and puts us competitively within any tax incentive that's out there. It's very exciting for us in economic development to have that tool in our tool bag to not only welcome in folks, we've already had international companies that have come here to film, to not only have folks from LA and New York, but also from London and everywhere else to come here to film, but also to hold up and foster homegrown filmmakers as well. So we have the economic development tools now to do that. Since July of 2022, we've been scrambling to kind of reconnect and sort of build out and find the creative arts infrastructure, the ecosystem that's here. And so that's just something we've been doing, as you all know, in the last year and a half, is trying to asset map, where are we at? How many film festivals do we have? Well, we have 13. We have more than Ireland does. That's something I found out. That's pretty cool. But we have good Irish row bowling, right, Dave? And but anyway, so we're trying to find out, what do we have? Where are the creatives? Where are, as I like to call, the live wires? Where are the people, the filmmakers who are really making a difference? How can we lift them up? And so that's kind of something that we've been doing. So we are based over in economic development. And so if you ever have any questions about is your film, or if you know a film or a filmmaker who would like to work with us, what we do is we have a database and we help people find locations, crew, and services, and then we also help them navigate the fiscal responsibilities of doing the tax incentive. And so I have a colleague, Megan Smith, who also does the tourism tax credit and also does Build West Virginia. She helps production companies like hand that football off to the tax department. So it's a pretty organic structure, which is really nice and different than some states where it's a little outside of what their purview typically is. So anyway, we have a nice kind of baked-in situation with the tax incentive this go-round. One thing that I'd like to say that the film office is trying to do, we know that it had been 5 years since we had a film office, so that we know that we got to put a lot of juice into education. We got to put a lot of juice into workforce trainings. So we've been teaming up with folks like Film Futures Foundation and also the West Virginia Filmmakers Guild, which has been around since 1982, and doing a bunch of trainings, trying to do one a month in a wide variety of film industry sectors, and then also kind of value-adding film festivals as well to do some workshops. And so we've been trying to do those. As far as education goes, we've been trying to make sure that we are teaming up with our universities. Just have some phenomenal folks at WVU and also at Marshall University who are really gung-ho and doing a lot in putting some real bones and structure around the education for filmmaking. I got to give a shout out. This is very exciting. To me, I love collaborating with people, and so one of the really early on education kind of collaborations that we had was with Film Pittsburgh. They're the film festival arm of the Pittsburgh film industry, and so Tina is here from Teen Screen. And so Teen Screen, they got a Benedum Foundation grant. A lot of you all know the Benedum Foundation. So they have a Benedum Foundation grant to show for free to middle and high school students in West Virginia, along with a study guide, which makes it great for teachers, to show some amazing Appalachian and West Virginia films. So very excited that Tina and Lori have added King Cole and also O Pioneer, and also a great hour-long, really inspirational piece of shorts called Appalachian Recovery and Resiliency. So anyway, we are, as we're just getting started, trying to snap into place a lot of just these bones, right? We're trying to put all of our bones back so we can become sustainable so that we can bring in work. So what's happened so far? Well, in the last year, I just did the reporting for the Motion Picture Association, and in spite of a actors and writers strike that went for 7 months, it was the first time they both went out in 60 years. Ronald Reagan was a president of the Actors Union the last time they both went out together. So even in spite of that and having to work around that, we were able to do complete 47 TV and film productions in West Virginia, and then Megan and I did cause with over 100 creators who maybe are still putting their funding together or are working on projects for this year. And so we actually, so there's a lot of action. And it's a lot of, I feel like, right-sized stuff. We've had a lot of, or several instances already of folks who came in last year to kind of test us out and then are bringing in a bigger project this year. And so we're very excited about a couple of those projects that have a whole lot of promise. What does this mean to you? Well, there's a lot of ways that you can get plugged into the film office on our Real Scout, on our database. You can help your community put in locations, and then also you can put in crew and services if you would like to do that and if you would like to be a part of the growing film and TV industry here. And so I was just talking to Mike Murdoch with Alchemy Theater and was telling him about some of the opportunities for folks in theater here, because where we don't have a lot of casting agencies, we've been using theater companies who have been then helping production companies cast for some pretty big stuff, including we just had a rollout of Kawasaki Ridge. Their main brand content was rolled out here, and then they spliced up that content and did a Super Bowl commercial, which was really badass. And so anyway, they're really going to be having some exciting opportunities here, and we're excited to grow with you, and that's probably enough. I was going to time it, and then I turned my phone upside down, so that's not real helpful. But I guess if you want to go, Paul, if you guys want to go ahead and roll the clip, and then we'll get on to some more exciting folks. These are the folks who make me excited to be here in West Virginia doing what we're doing. So, and this reel was made by David Markham, who's down in the basement in the back cave.
When actress Gloria Swanson brought the cast and crew of the film Stage Struck to New Martinsville, West Virginia in 1925, they were greeted by a community that pitched in where needed. Townspeople played extras and helped build and decorate sets. A riverboat captain even provided a showboat for the movie's climax. One of the first films to experiment with Technicolor, Stage Struck is now a classic. It was the first movie filmed on location in West Virginia. But it wouldn't be the last. For the next 100 years, filmmakers have found the perfect canvas to tell a variety of stories. Romantic comedies, dramas, action, biographies, reality, documentaries, adventure, and sci-fi. Sometimes telling a West Virginia story, but always telling the American story. And we're prepared to help you tell your story. If location is another character in the film, then like actors, it must be ready to transform to the shape and visage you need. Dressed in the costume, wearing the makeup, sporting the attitude, ready to evoke any time or place, transporting audiences like a time machine, but so seamless in its effort that it feels like these moments were always happening there. In West Virginia, you will find financial incentives as encouraging as the state's beauty and versatility, and a team of eager players who will share your process, your goal, your dream. We'll make our community your community. After all, we've been doing this for just about a century. We know what you need. Right time, right place, right now. West Virginia.
Dave, thank you very much. That was inspiring. Awesome. It feels really good to just be able to say the words West Virginia Film Office and know that such a thing exists and to know that it's in great hands. Thank you so much. Let's bring Justin Litton up here from Mtn Craft, based in the wonderful city, my hometown, Fairmont, West Virginia. Justin.
Thank you, Jim. Yeah, so my name is Justin, and I am one of the directors at Mtn Craft. And if you haven't heard about us, I consider it my privilege to be able to share a little bit with you today about what we're doing and what we have going on. We are a creative studio based in North Central West Virginia. We are based in Fairmont, and what we do is full-time, full-service video production. And we have been at this now for a little over a decade. We actually recently celebrated our 10-year anniversary. And we were founded in 2013 by Ben Barry, who actually is manning our camera at the back today. Thank you for doing that. And thank you, this is our guy John here too, helping us at the front. When Ben started this thing, he started it with a hope and a dream. And eventually I came on, and for a long time we were 2 or 3 people. But we have seen success and we have seen growth that I don't think was guaranteed in West Virginia for such a niche, commercial, creative company that kind of exists in a little bit of a bubble. We're not an agency, we just focus on video. We are now 8 people, and that to me is incredible. And one thing I've found over the years as we've grown, it hasn't just been that our numbers have grown, but with each person that we've brought onto the team, we have become smarter. We have now a more diverse amount of ideas and diverse backgrounds to pull from within our team, and we are so much more talented than we were before. So I really can't heap enough praise onto this team that we've built, because they kind of blow my mind on a regular basis and humble me on a daily basis, and I sincerely mean that. Now, one thing that I want to say about the impact of what we're doing today is that personally, I feel it's really cool to be able to employ people who, like myself, went through film school, have filmmaking backgrounds, in a full-time job with benefits, and give them that kind of stability that is typically really hard to find as a filmmaker, especially in a more rural area where maybe filmmaking opportunities aren't always just a guaranteed thing to be there. The work is not guaranteed. We're doing a lot of work to try to make that landscape look different, and I think there's an incredible amount of things that the state has to offer, but it's really scary going into that industry just in general, and here it felt even more so. But we are offering that, and we're offering it to these people and giving them the opportunity to work on statewide commercial campaigns, short social media deliverables for local businesses, and we even have federal partners that we do mini documentary, short form storytelling content for. So it runs the gamut. They have the ability to flex their creative skills, grow personally and professionally in what they're doing while within our company. And it's also a win-win for the state, because we end up retaining talent that otherwise might be tempted to look outside of the state for opportunities. So we are so proud to be able to hire people and give them an opportunity to stay in the state and be creative and help tell the story of West Virginia. That is genuinely what our motivation was when Ben started the company, and it continues to be where, it's our North Star. Our sights, when we have the opportunity to tell good stories about West Virginia or promote other filmmakers or other talent in West Virginia, then there's nothing we'd rather be doing than trying to help make that happen. Now, something that was a bit of a milestone for us last year was we were pulled into a meeting by the Robinson Grand. And many of you probably know what the Robinson Grand is, but if you don't, it's a beautiful historic venue in Clarksburg. And they were looking to expand what they were doing and offer more original events. And they thought a film festival would be a good idea. So they tapped us and said, if we partner with you, could you do a film festival? And we immediately said yes, because I don't know if they knew when they asked us, maybe they did, but we'd been chomping at the bit for a long time to do a film festival. For years, we've wanted to attempt something like that. We just didn't really have the resources. So with the Robinson Grand on our side, we were able to have not just a beautiful venue, but lots of amenities and other things that would have been really difficult for us to figure out. So with that, we still had a lot to figure out. We had 8 or 10 months to scramble and to learn, how do you build a film festival? How do we get films? How does everything work? And I'm very proud to say that I think we did a really decent job for our first year. We had 53 films that we showed from 9 different states, and that did include a lot of really good talent from West Virginia. All of the feature films that we showed on our program were either made in West Virginia or by West Virginia filmmakers. Everyone sitting on this panel today was involved in some way in the film festival as judges. They had films in it. The film office had a presence there. So there was a lot of buy-in from other creatives, which felt really good. You're welcome to cycle through the photos of the actual event if you'd like to, just to kind of show you a little bit of what we had going on. Apart from the films, which obviously is kind of the main point of a film festival, we also had food trucks. We had over a dozen local vendors with different things to sell and to promote what they were doing. We let them come in for free and set up in our space because we had space to allow for that kind of thing. One thing that we did that was pretty unique is we had a city trolley tour of Clarksburg for people who were interested in touring it as a potential location to shoot films. That was really popular. We also had a lot of empty space on the stage behind the movie screen, like exactly here. There's a lot of space behind this projection screen that's being unutilized for our event right now. We had the same situation, so we turned that into an art gallery of student artworks for people to peruse anytime they wanted, including when the movies were playing. And we had a VR film exhibit, which I'm not entirely sure if West Virginia has seen at a film festival before. But if you wanted to put a headset on and immerse yourself into a piece of artwork by another filmmaker, like that was something we were able to allow to happen and give people access to. And when I say I'm proud of my team and they humble me every day, this is what I'm talking about, because we aren't event planners. We're good at making videos. This kind of thing was completely new to all of us, but everybody put in so much work, took on tasks that they knew that they could complete, and then give not just 100%, but like poured themselves into what we were doing. And I think the reason for that is because we realized that this was different than making a commercial for a company who's going to put it on social media or television or whatever. We have the opportunity to create an experience where people can come in and interact, and everybody who walks through the door adds something to what we're doing. And at the same time, still promoting film in West Virginia and across Appalachia, which was our whole goal. We only accepted films that were made in Appalachia, or by Appalachian filmmakers who have moved elsewhere. So we're really proud to be able to create an event like that in an area of the state where I'm not sure there had been a history. I'm not sure there had been a film festival in Clarksburg. That's still something we have to work on to let people know. And that's what I want to tell you, is that a lot of people hear film festival and assume it's just for filmmakers. And that is not the case. It means the world to filmmakers to be able to create their art and share it with others. And there's a lot of benefit to being a filmmaker and showing your film to other filmmakers and having those networking opportunities, and the kind of things we'll do at the next film festival, like have seminars or workshops that the film office will help us facilitate. Those things are great, but it's not the same if we don't have quote unquote normal people who are non-filmmakers but appreciate the art, who can come through our doors and elevate that experience to another level, interact with the art they're seeing on screen and with each other, and interact in the form of questions with the filmmakers afterwards. There's really nothing else exactly like that. So if you haven't been to a film festival, I just want to encourage you to come, because we had a really good turnout last year. We had many hundreds of people to come through our doors, most of which were from outside of the county, many from outside the state, but there's so many more people we can reach. So first weekend of October this year, October 3rd through 6th, we're going to do it again, and we're going to take all the feedback we received and notes that we made along the way and try to make it even better. But it is for the community. So we want to encourage everyone to consider visiting the festival, and if you haven't experienced a film festival before, it's a really fantastic way to do it. The festival is, in fact, for everyone, and it's an outpouring of Mtn Craft and our love for what we do and for the people that inspire us so very much every day. So with that, I hope I'm not over time. I didn't even try to start it on my phone, and here is the show reel now for Mtn Craft and a lot of our commercial work. Thank you for your time.
Wow, this takes me back.
Nice.
Justin, thank you so much. Thanks to all the Mtn Craft team that are here today. I think we have about half the staff here today, and really, we're really happy to have everybody here, and thanks so much. And let's all put October 3rd through 6th in Clarksburg on our calendars. That looks like an amazing time. Let's get to the festival this year. Let's welcome from Coat of Arms, Clara Lehmann Jonathan Lacocque, and for the first of two presentations. We're gonna get a chance to see their whole film, O Pioneer, later this afternoon. Welcome.
Hey y'all, we're really happy to be here, and I can't recommend enough that you go to the film festival. I had such a good time, like popping in and out of movies, and so definitely check it out in October. My name is Clara Lehmann. I'm a founder-director at Coat of Arms, and I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Jonathan Lacocque, founder as well and creative director.
If you could start our slides for us, I'll just go through what we are. As you can imagine, as filmmakers, we're trying to find a way to feed ourselves while making films. And so our creative studio was founded in 2010, and that was our means to make sure that we continue to tell stories that are meaningful to us, but also tell stories for brands that pay us. So we just like to call ourselves a creative studio that believes in telling good stories that our mamas would be proud to share. And we do everything from production to writing and all the way to music, composing, sound design, things like that.
Yep. And this gives you very quickly a little snapshot of some of the things that we do. But like Claire said, it's kind of like from the beginning to the end of any project. Sometimes we're working with a Fortune 500 company, and we're writing the script and designing the frames. And sometimes we're working with a filmmaker, and we're just doing like editorial or color correction in the post-production side of things. If you can go to the next slide. These are just some of the brands that we've worked with. So since 2010, we've been lucky enough to kind of build some relationships with pretty big companies. And what happens when you start, in 2010, you connect with somebody and they move on to another company, and if you're lucky enough to build a good relationship with them, they kind of take you with you. So we've been lucky to start with some of these brands, and then of course the producers and marketing agents and folks that we work with go to others, and then we kind of build relationships with them.
One thing that I've loved about working with corporate America is that it's only honed my craft of filmmaking more. And what I mean by that is it has given us an ability to do the work on someone else's dime and learn in the process. And that's very valuable, and it has given me a lot more confidence as a filmmaker. And so while it can feel sometimes like, okay, I'm telling a story that's selling something, I think that if you bring yourself to it with authenticity and that vision of honing that craft, then you'll find that it can still be meaningful, and again, it can be propelled into your personal stories and things like that. We can go on. This is our team, and we wanted you to see our faces because it's not just me and Jonathan. We have a lovely team. We work with freelancers from throughout the world, internationally, and we work with other folks within West Virginia as well. But please, these are kind humans that you should get to know if you can, and please feel welcome to email us if you'd like to get to know us better.
And Grace is here. She's right here, so you can find her. She's a producer at Coat of Arms. One last thing I'll say before we go to the next slide and show the reel. We'll try to keep it short for you all so we can have a Q&A. But, we're in Helvetia, and the internet sucks in Helvetia. But we're able to do our work there. And so, a lot of our clients, when we start working with them, they don't really know where we're located. We'll work with Google, and, they're in New York or San Francisco, and when they find out where we are, we usually have them pull up a map, and they're always very surprised to find how rural the area is that we live in. But the point is that we can really do this anywhere. I think we're in a time right now where you no longer have to be in like the 3 major city hubs to produce good work or to create film. And so I think we're at a time where maybe we don't want to hear it, but like there aren't as many excuses. And so I think that we can take that as inspiration and really work together and build up our local communities in a way that people will be maybe surprised at first to find that great work is being done in West Virginia, but it can be and it is. And so I I guess, implore each and every one of you, if you have those interests, to connect with the people around you and to build some of that work, because we can definitely do it and compete with New York, Chicago, LA. Go ahead.
Next slide.
Yeah, if you want to go to the next slide, this is our reel, which just shows sort of a little bit of our work. We tried to do a new reel in time for this, but this is actually like 3 years old. We'll put out a new one in the next month or two, but I hope you enjoy.
Yeah, as we play it, just take down our information, which will be on the slide afterward, and we would love to connect with each of you and collaborate. Thank you.
Clara and Jonathan, thank you so much. Grace, thank you for being here as well. So, you know, if you don't already know, as I said, we are going to screen the entire film of O Pioneer right here this afternoon at 2 o'clock. Please make sure you come see that. It's a beautiful film. The filmmakers are here to talk with us about it, and so we're very, very happy to be able to present that, and we encourage you to come see it and join us this afternoon. Okay, let's welcome Tijah Bumgarner. Tijah, we've been joking, like we can't have an arts conference without Tijah. She has presented here the last couple of years about various aspects of her work as an independent filmmaker, as an educator. We've talked about a lot of different things. Who knows what we're going to talk about this year, but she's got some exciting things going on at Marshall University. I think we're going to hear about that and maybe a little more. Tijah.
Hello, y'all. Thank you for being here. I'm excited to be here to chat with y'all about a new endeavor we have here in West Virginia, which is a BFA in filmmaking. Thank you. It is the first in the state, so I was happy to get that post out there and kind of claim it. But it's been, I would say, a long time coming in some ways. To me, a long time is like 6 years. But I think it really started before that. I'm going to try to not talk too long because I do like to talk. Maybe someone should time me. Anyway, I did not bring my phone up here, did not turn it upside down. Neither did Dave, Justin, any of us. Anyway, so I was one that graduated high school. I mean, I took a little departure to Myrtle Beach. We won't talk about that. Anyway, I ended up going to California because I knew I wanted to do something in the arts. I didn't know it was filmmaking. I thought it was acting. Tried that. Great fun. Still love it. My students cast me, luckily. I still fit those roles. So that's a lot of fun. But while I was out there and I was going to film school, I started teaching a class as an assistantship. And it was at high schools in LA. And in doing that, I realized, some of the kids were really into it, so I really enjoyed teaching them filmmaking, but some were not so into it. And so my thing that I would say was how lucky you are to have this. I didn't know what film was when I was in high school. And so it kind of got my wheels turning. And once I graduated Cal Arts, I knew that any story I wanted to make as a filmmaker took place in West Virginia, because I'm from Fayette County, born and raised. And I also knew I wanted to educate here. Like, why didn't we have that when I was in high school? Why didn't I know that film was an art form? Why hadn't I ever seen Welcome to the Dollhouse by Todd Solondz? Anyway, if you haven't, you should. That's the one that really did it for me, you know? And so I graduated with my undergrad in filmmaking, and this was in 2009, it's fine. And I remember sending an email to Marshall University in 2009, and I was just like, hey, I see you all do not offer film classes at Marshall University. You should offer filmmaking. I would love to teach a filmmaking class. And luckily, the dean at the time was very kind and didn't write back like, that's not how this world works. I did not know what academia is. It's fine. But this was in 2009. He kindly wrote back and was like, I really appreciate your enthusiasm. It's really hard to start a major at a university. It's a lot of red tape. And I was like, okay, cool. Long story short, I do end up moving back to West Virginia, and I get into filmmaking, and along that way, which has been awesome because I've met all the folks you see up here and many other folks doing filmmaking in the region that when I first got here, it was a lot of navigating what that was. But I ended up going for my master's at West Virginia State University, which is where I met Justin many moons ago. And then I went on for my doctorate, but all this time kind of keeping tabs on what was happening at Marshall. Then I had an insider tell me they wanted to start a video production program at Marshall University, and this was like in 2016 or 17. So I show back up, and I come in with my resume and a DVD, because it was, 2017, of my first feature film, and I just laid it out to Dean Van Horn, who was so kind to also just take a meeting with me. And I was like, hey, I'm a woman filmmaker from West Virginia, and I would love to teach a class here. Here you have video production, coming. And so luckily, I got in as an adjunct. Sandra Reed was the director at the time at the School of Art and Design. So as an adjunct in the School of Art, a position opened up in the School of Journalism. I don't think anyone here is from the School of Journalism. That's fine. Oh, well. At the time, I was hired as, it was strategic communications. And I was like, So I applied and kind of got myself in because I knew they wanted to do video production. And again, just a longer story of, I started to teach these classes that I incorporated filmmaking in. And it has grown now to be this BFA in filmmaking. It was a lot of back and forth and discussion of what it was, because they had video production. But for clarification for students, we have like the broadcast side in journalism, but what I was doing didn't quite fit into journalism. And so luckily it was able to grow out of that. So now I'm at the school, in the School of Art and Design, and we just officially started the BFA in filmmaking, what will start in the fall. But it was really because of the students. I'd be in these classes, and they really gravitated toward filmmaking. And we do all types of filmmaking. We do documentary, or as I call it, cinematic nonfiction, because it's a lot of different things. We have narrative, which is fiction films. We do client work. And commercials, music videos, anything and everything. And we kind of run the gamut of, from development to the screen, all different types of classes. And again, it's really because of the students, and it grew out of their want for this. Like, to see the passion that these students have in wanting to do this, there was nowhere to go except to make this program grow into what they needed. And so, I will say, I don't tell my students, I procrastinated, and I put together a little something this morning, and I apologize, I did not have this to Paul like last week, like everyone else up here I'm sure did have their stuff to them, but I did put something together because I want to show off the students' work. Mind you, there's canned music, it's not the best editing, but just a little something, because again, they're why I'm doing this, and I'm just very grateful to be in this position, to be in West Virginia amongst so many filmmakers now. There's such a growing community, and get to make films, but then also help the new future of filmmakers. There's nothing like it. I'll be in class, and we're making a short film, and I'll be like, y'all, I'm getting paid right now. So I'm a paid filmmaker, basically, so I'll take it. But I do have this short, it's 3 minutes. Again, this sounds all over the place. The music's not very good. Whatever, I want to show off some of their work. Thank you.
Kings and queens would shout, "Hey, Bricky, where you from?" And she'd say, "West by God, Virginia."
A Supreme Court ruling announced minutes ago extends same-sex marriage in America. The justices ruled 5-4 that states do not have the right to outlaw same-sex unions.
The CRC is our on-campus community for recovery. Any students who want to learn more about recovery or on long-term recovery themselves, it's a place for them to go.
Darn it.
Do you need some help with that?
I've got it covered.
Okay.
I find this difficult. I'm really glad you're here with me.
I'm glad to be here.
And so stress had a big way of throwing a wrench in what I could eat because it really affected the hormones and the chemical levels in my body. So I started making soap.
Thank you, Tijah, very much. Appreciate it. It's exciting. While Randy turns on mics, I want to just, that's what I was going to say too. Thanks, Randy. Thanks to Randy, Caleb, Todd, Larry's around here somewhere, also Paul Neal on the art staff who helped compile clips and images that we could show today. Really appreciate everybody's help in being able to see these amazing images. We've got some time. Let's start with some questions. And while you're thinking of your question, Tina, you want to come up here for a second? Think of your question. I'm going to totally, unbeknownst to Tina, ask her to...
She'll be answering all of our questions.
Say something about Teen Screen for a couple minutes while everybody gathers their thoughts? Okay. This is Tina. Do you pronounce your last name Kakadelis?
I do.
Tina Kakadelis from Teen Screen and Film Pittsburgh.
If you were paying close attention, I was actually in one of the Mtn Craft photos. So I had a short film play at Mtn Craft, which I'm very excited about and had a fantastic experience there. And I truly want to say that it did not ever feel like it was the first run of a festival. So Teen Screen. Teen Screen is an educational part of Film Pittsburgh, as Dave said. Film Pittsburgh puts on all of the film festivals in Pittsburgh. But Teen Screen itself is a free educational service that we give to teachers. So we work with middle and high school students and teachers and bring film into the classroom. I mean, you see kids now, I hate to be one of those people, kids these days, scrolling on TikTok, but that is a way that they are learning information now in an unprecedented way. And so why not meet them where they are and give them film, and well done film by some of the people on the stage, that can use what they're already used to, this imagery, this visual language, and impart something new and an educational experience. So we show films that are about the Holocaust, we show films that are social justice, environmentalism, and we pair all of those with a speaker. So for our films about social justice, we actually work with the Pennsylvania Bar Association and bring in a lawyer who will talk about the fundamentals of the case, the legal issues of the case, how that case would be tried today. We have environmental lawyers who talk about, we show a documentary called Youth v. Gov, which is about a group of young people who actually sued the federal government because they felt like they were not being given the fundamental right to existence because of what companies and corporations were being allowed to do with the environment. And so that case is ongoing. So we have an environmental lawyer who comes in and speaks about where that case is today, how they would have tried it, what the day-to-day life of an environmental lawyer looks like. And then just last year, in fall, we started expanding into West Virginia. So Teen Screen can be done in person and in Pittsburgh, and we are hopefully expanding to in person in West Virginia, where we take over a theater for a morning and show a film as it's meant to be seen on the big screen. And we now have an Appalachian program, like Dave said, a short film program that runs about an hour with a mix of documentaries and narratives that are made by West Virginia filmmakers, and those filmmakers can also zoom into the classroom and talk to the students about what it's like to be a working filmmaker in Appalachia. And then we also now are so lucky to have a Pioneer to show to students, and I've been really excited about offering that through a tie-in of Walt Whitman, because as you'll see later today, it is a wonderful ode to the word pioneer and inspiration from the Walt Whitman poem. But it's just, Teen Screen is a great way of working through a bunch of different school subjects through a medium that we all love, which is film. So thank you very much.
Okay, any questions? Anyone who'd like to go first?
Thank you for the question. Is everybody able to hear me? So just for the sake of the video, I'll recap quickly. Mallory is asking about the West Virginia International Film Festival. They've been at the Florally, which we love, doing a lot of awesome screenings there, but they aren't a proper festival the way they used to be. What's the biggest takeaway from us having just done our first one? For me, I started in on it a little bit here when I was at the podium, but I think our biggest takeaway, because we weren't quite prepared for it, was just the lack of knowledge in the community about what a film festival actually was. It was surprising how many people were close by that would have enjoyed it had they known it was for them. And that's something we're planning to work on through our social media presence and otherwise, like whatever we can think of this year to get people through the doors who have never gone to a film festival before, because I think that is the goal. It's about expanding. It's about offering entertainment and opportunity, but also expanding awareness about this art form that is happening in West Virginia, and I think it's important that we share that with everybody that we possibly can. So we're expanding our opportunities and trying to look into other forms of advertising that we hadn't gone into before, and we're going to hit the ground running a little earlier this year on ad campaigns and getting on radio programs and television programs to talk to folks who we wouldn't reach through just our social media channels. And that's a start. But trying to make our festival as friendly as possible to a non-filmmaker. When they show up, there's somebody to greet them and to explain to them how things work, and they have easy access to a program and everything that's available. Hopefully makes them feel more comfortable, because I honestly just think a lot of people walk into it thinking they're going to the Oscars when they don't belong there, and just feeling uncomfortable because it's new. And certainly I can relate to that. I'm kind of that person sometimes. So that is the thing I would say, you know, the board of the International Film Festival, you're all film people. It might be easy to miss the fact that other people might approach that whole topic without context or without the proper context. So I think that's part of the work that is left to be done. Absolutely, well, that's always one of the hardest things. So the question's about funding. We didn't know what we were doing. We had a spreadsheet that we had started with a lot of planks on it and like numbers where we were guessing because we weren't even sure what all the things were that we needed to do. We also had merchandise and stuff to go along with it. Didn't know what that stuff cost. Everything was new. I am surprised to say, and the venue was also surprised, that we actually did turn a profit. It was a small one, but we were not expecting to make money in the first couple of years, and we actually managed to turn a profit somehow. We kept our prices down by like collaborating with people that could help us because they loved what they were doing. That art gallery that also served as our background behind our Q&As at the end of the night, that was amazing. And that was just a labor of love from local people who were involved in the arts and the local university, and they just wanted to make it happen and create those opportunities for the community. This year, I would love to pay those people. I think our goal is to pay as many people that can bring that to the festival as possible. It's still a struggle. But we didn't do any real crowdfunding. Our only real source, although grants are something we looked into, we were behind the ball on that. And even this year, I think I'm seeing that being a struggle where we're looking into grants and like, oh, the deadline just passed. Okay, cool. Those are available to us, and we should be doing a better job of looking into them. The film office, we're going to utilize some funds to bring in guest speakers and things like that this year. We didn't do it last year because we already had too much on our plate. But the rest was sponsorships. We were just like selling ads, putting people in the program and up on the step and repeat and up on screen and thanking sponsors. And I hope we find more ways this year to do that. But we also, I'll just be honest, we had a fortunate situation where our venue was not something we had to figure out how to pay for. And I don't know what the answer is to that. I think I've talked to a couple people with your organization before about that already. It was Raphael or Delford, I don't remember. But like, we had the venue, and I don't know that we could have done it without that, or at least at the level that we did. So we're very, very fortunate.
A little bit earlier today, Randall Reed Smith mentioned earmarked money, fairs and festivals, and the NEA. So you might touch base with somebody here and talk to them about that, because it seems like this would qualify for grant monies.
And I think we're looking into that as well. I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah, okay.
Do you want my mic? We could share mics.
I'll do my best. Actually, that kind of brings up a really good question, just because of some of the stuff with the writers' strike and the SAG strike and so forth. A lot of that strike had to do with the fact that the writers were being replaced by AI without their permission. Yes. And as a choreographer and someone who watched the Barbie movie and struggled to see the credit for the choreographer, like I had to go online and search for that person's name for a huge movie. I was kind of curious as far as like with Marshall's BFA coming up, how are we going about teaching young filmmakers that those people are professionals too and deserve to be paid for the work, not have their work stolen from the internet and used in your films, and yeah, that sort of thing.
I mean, for me, we talk at length about that to an extent of, I talk with students about like raising funding and making sure that people get paid. I try to make sure they get paid on jobs. I'll have, I'll get random emails like, hey, I'd love a video for my wedding. If you have a student who needs experience, and I'm like, well, and I'll be like, if you just send me a flyer with, the projects and the pay rate, blah, blah, blah. So I think that they are getting that, but overall, one thing I want to just add is like, I'm absolutely not doing this program on my own. It's a huge undertaking, and there are a lot of professors who've bought in, and directors and staff, and Dave Lavender at the film office has been a huge help to like come and talk to classes. And so it's definitely something that, I still struggle with, like the business of film, like that part of my brain doesn't work as well. Maybe you could tell by the way I like give presentations, like it's just not as structured as it should be. But the School of Business, we bring them in as well. Even within our new curriculum, we do have a class with the School of Business, because I want like a business of film class that hopefully like takes care of some of those types of things. when it comes to credit, I mean, I start most of my classes, like the very filmmaking one, I show them the credits of a film. And I'm just like, look at all the people it takes to make a film. I was like, everyone in here, this is a job, and everyone's getting paid. And part of that is to let them know that like filmmaking is not one thing, and also so they can tell their parents, who often are like, what is this? What are you doing? That it takes a lot of people to make one project. And again, when you see those credits, everyone, hopefully, right, got paid on that job, that it is a job and there are jobs. And if you're, watching films, you're watching TV, you're watching commercials, you're watching music videos, you're watching videos on the internet, those are made by, filmmakers. But as for, getting credit where credit's due, I think some of that's tough. I had a student who, I'll make this quick. He'd come to me and he'd worked on another student's film, and then that student, there was some, conflict because, personalities. And he's like, he wasn't asked to go on another part of the shoot with this group. And he's like, I just feel so unappreciated. I was like, look, student, I was like, I'm a parent and a teacher. Talk about feeling unappreciated in every aspect of what you do. And that's just light sentence, that's how that goes. But I think, that's all I can do is to hopefully teach them the right way to, respect the people that they're working for. I talk a lot about like the ethics of filmmaking, both in narrative and documentary. And like when you're telling someone's story, you're amplifying that. You're not just telling their story, that's their story. You're lucky you get to tell it. How will you tell it? And being very cautious of that. And so I think like some of those conversations also come up when we are talking about maybe credit that you get in film and thinking about who gets paid and all of those sorts of things. So hopefully that sort of answers your question. Interesting though that it was hard to find such a huge part of the Barbie movie like buried in the credits. That's interesting.
I had to Google it.
Huh? Wow. Yeah. Interesting.
Anybody else on that subject?
I'll say, in terms of artificial intelligence, that's a huge topic in our industry right now, beyond just the writers and the actors. I can say that we do a lot of motion design, and in that particular niche of the field, it's, I don't know, the chicken's flown the coop already in some ways. Like, I think it's almost like the pandemic where, you go to a doctor and something's going on, they're like, well, we're still gonna, in 10 years, we'll figure out why you're dealing with this thing because of coronavirus. I think we're kind of in that territory with AI. I think it's moving faster than we're ready for in some respects, or have the sort of like architectural or structural elements to have clear ethics and legal guidelines. It's a little bit of the Wild West right now. And fortunately and unfortunately, that puts it on us in many ways to make sure that we're ethically sourcing content, ethically creating it, properly crediting, because there are aspects to the creation of art that, we're always borrowing, like without AI, when we're creating a video, oftentimes we're building references and mood boards with other imagery. And I think what AI has done is expedited that, but also utilizes those references to create and produce new things. And so there's this murkiness to it that can be a little awkward legally. Ultimately, I just think that we need to find ways to be ethically conscious as we're creating art. On one hand, going with the flow of these changes, because it is going to change. And these are tools. I think a lot of people are worried about them. They're still tools that we can utilize, but doing it in a way where we're properly, ethically thinking about how we're utilizing things and finding ways to properly credit and pay for those that ultimately created it originally, if it, the AI borrowed it from something. But we're still figuring that out.
Definitely a tool. I think that's an important part. And I do talk to students about that who, mind you, I've had one who's just like copy paste AI, and I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I know that this was ChatGPT. It's somewhere that you could start. I was like, but you really have to make it your own. But I don't want to scare students off from it or forbid it in any way, because it's there. But how do we, use it ethically? And I think that's a really good conversation to have, and letting students know that, again, they have this toolbox and everything they learn is kind of in there. And so that's just like a piece of it that's mixed in. It's not the end all be all as well. Yeah.
One thing we do too is we share project files for some of our projects that we're permitted to. Some of our customers or clients don't want us to share their project files, but when we can, we do that for educational purposes. And one thing we write on our website is use the wisdom and the knowledge behind them, but don't steal the ingredients. And I think that's what AI is meant to do. Is like it provides wisdom and gives you inspiration, and perhaps it gives you a form to start with, but you shouldn't be stealing the ingredients of a choreographer's work. You shouldn't be stealing the ingredients of a writer. So you know, what matter what, the same rules apply. We just have to make sure that now that it's so easy to steal, we don't just allow that to be okay.
My friends, it is 11:35, so I have to say some things. First of all, listen, I imagine there might be some more questions. If panelists are willing, I'm going to suggest that we close the session, but then we can just sort of gather informally here in the front row and at the front of the stage and talk for a few more minutes afterwards, if anyone has the time, and if you have some other things you'd like to talk about. I need to let everybody go, though, because lunch is beginning in the library, not in the Great Hall, because we're sharing our building today. So lunch is in the library, and that's starting now. Then, of course, we're back in here at 12:30 for a showcase of storytellers with Aristotle Jones and Adam Booth, and then we're back in here at 2 o'clock for the screening of O Pioneer. So again, thank you all. This has been an amazing hour. Not enough time, obviously, but really appreciate the involvement of you all and the great contributions of the panel and for sharing your beautiful work with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you all very much.